The Lakers end up beating the Mavs 107-99. So let us discuss the question for the esteemed panel, which you are part of. You are part of the esteemed panel. What stood out? What stood out about Luka Doncic's first matchup against his former team, the Mavericks? So I've got serenaded, yellow pages, and top rope. I'll explain what the yellow pages are for those of you that have no idea what the yellow pages are. I'll explain. Now, let's start out being forced. I'm getting paid for it, so I'm not really forced to do this. But watching the Mavericks and Lakers, my first takeaway was not impressed with the Lakers. I was told this is God's gift to basketball when they beat the Denver Nuggets over the weekend, and people were upset I didn't talk about it. So I was like, well, the Lakers probably should win this game by, 40 points? I mean, Dallas blows, right? They're not very good. They don't have a bunch of guys. And yet, I'm watching it, and you had the flotsam and jetsam for Dallas. You had Kyrie Irving, the fossil of Klay Thompson, and I don't know who any of these other guys are. I mean, a bunch of stiffs. And yet, they were going blow for blow with the Lakers. It was a tie game in the fourth quarter. And so, by my count, and I stopped counting, I actually ran into the great Steve DeSager in the hallways. We have virtual DeSager all night, but I ran into him as he was exiting the building here. And we were trying to go over our notes here, and I said, I counted at least 12 wide-open three-point shots that Dallas missed. Wide open. So I don't know, is that good Laker defense? Just leave them open, let them miss? Maybe that is. I don't know. So some other things I jotted down on the notes thing on my iPhone watching this game, some random observations. LeBron James, for the second time at least this season, airballed a free throw. He did this against the People's Team, the Clippers, at the Intuit Dome, the greatest arena in Los Angeles, greatest arena in basketball. So LeBron, in the fourth quarter, airballed the foul shot. Did Jordan ever? Maybe he did. Did Jordan airball the foul shot? I don't know. I have no idea. And that is something, I'll give LeBron credit, that is something that is very relatable to every man, woman, and child, to airball a foul shot. We can all do that. 1,000% we can all do that. Also, it's good to know, despite my tough love of the Laker franchise over the years, that the executives over there are closeted P1s, that the Laker people are closeted P1s. Now, how did I determine that? Let me explain. We have ranted multiple times on this program that since Luka came to the Lakers, that the yellow uniforms the Lakers wear are unbecoming for Luka. He's a chubby. And so they put them in mothballs is the word I'm looking for. They put them in mothballs for the game against the Mavericks there, and they wore their weird, ugly, like, third jersey purple thing is what they had on there. But that is validation, okay? That is validation that Luka looks like an obese lemon head candy in the gold Laker uniform, and as fashionistas have pointed out, if you wear the color yellow and you're fat, you look even fatter. You just do. Bright yellow makes you appear larger because it reflects more light and thus makes the body seem bigger. So Luka looked a little more in shape, even though it's all an optical illusion and all that. Now, I will do the rare and appropriate tip of the cap to the Laker historians. There was something that took place here that I chuckled at, and I thought, you know what, that's a good job by you. And I am fair. Now, people think I'm just a critic and I just take pot shots here behind the microphone and I unload. I'm never Benny Brightside, but I will be Benny Brightside. I will tip the cap to my mortal enemy, the Laker historians, because I chuckled multiple times throughout the game when Luka was at the foul line and the Laker historians got into a crooner position, if you will. They were serenading Nico Harrison, the Dallas general manager, who will be unemployed and should probably get just hired by the Lakers at some point here, I would think. He'll get a job in the Laker front office. But that boob, Nico Harrison, who is being blamed for now as the one that was solely responsible for the trade, which is not really a trade, of Luka to the Lakers. And so The historians decided to serenade Luka. I think do we have that? I think we have that. Take a listen here. This is a little clip here. Take a listen. Yeah. Thank you, Nico. Thank you, Nico. I love rhythmic chanting. Yeah, thank you, Nico. Now, I chuckle when that happened, and it happened multiple times, and some were kind of light. Other times it was a little louder. I did appreciate, though, the fact that is an admission by the Laker historians that this was not a trade. This was a train heist. It was not a trade. It was a train heist. And so they're admitting that. By thanking Nico, they're realizing well, it's not really a trade. A trade is where, quid pro quo. You don't trade a broken-down stiff like Anthony Davis for someone in the prime of their career, which is what happened here. Now, I would love to know how deep this goes. I have one of my media buddies swears, I think he's wearing a tinfoil hat, but he swears to me that this goes above Nico Harrison, above Maverick ownership, that when they agreed to buy the team from Mark Cuban, this was like part of some grand plan where the NBA TV contracts that they agreed to, the new TV deal, which kicks in with NBC and Amazon next year, and they will continue with ESPN, that they had to prop up the Laker franchise, that the Lakers falling apart. Old man LeBron, 40 years old. So my buddy's convinced that this came at the league office on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. They're like, hey, we got to do a solid. We got to make sure the Lakers have a young star, and this is the way we're going to do it. Now, that's his theory. Other people agree with that. I believe it will all come out at some point. But if the NBA had a real commissioner, and let's say the NBA didn't do that Adam Silver was not involved, half man, half alien, Adam Silver, if that didn't happen that way, and they had a real commissioner, the trade would have been voided. Because the NBA used to have a real commissioner named David Stern back in the day, and he voided the Chris Paul trade because it was lopsided. All right, now, we go to Boston, of all places. The C's are yet again one of the NBA's top teams after winning the championship. However, boo-hoo-hoo, says Celtic star Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum, he still feels that he doesn't get the proper due. He doesn't get the proper credit. Tatum was asked about that. He said flat out no when asked by a scribe, a basketball scribe, if he feels appreciated for his individual accomplishments in a Celtic uniform at this point in his career. And so I asked the question, do you have empathy for Jayson Tatum, who feels sad because he's not getting enough of his ass kissed by the basketball media and fans? So I give this one a shoulder shrug. I just kind of shrug my shoulders on this. It is another self-inflicted wound by Jayson Tatum. Right? Another self-inflicted wound by Jayson Tatum. Overly self-conscious is unbecoming. And maybe it happened and I don't recall it, but in my memory, I don't ever remember Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or players of that ilk complaining because they were worried about the perceptions of other people. I don't recall that. Maybe it happened. But Tatum, last I checked, and who knows, maybe I'm wrong on this, he's still writing the manuscript. And so you don't get your flowers until the story is complete. The story's not complete. And my Maller advice is be like the old slogan. There used to be this thing before the internet called the Yellow Pages, where you needed it to get phone numbers and things like that before everyone started texting everyone and the internet was around. And so their slogan was let your fingers do the talking. So Jayson Tatum, let your body of work speak for itself. And as we pointed out many times, if you are one of the all-time greats, you don't have to tell people you are. They will tell everyone else for you. But that's not what's going on here. The Celtics did break through. They're the reigning champions of the NBA, and Jayson Tatum was upstaged by Jaylen Brown in that playoff run, then embarrassed himself after the series ended by taking a bunch of quotes from other players and repackaging them as his own. It's like he went through the NBA archive of what you say when you win a championship. And let me repeat that. But Tatum in those playoff games was the beta, not the alpha. And there was that stat I remember we talked about on the show. The first 8 NBA Finals games Jayson Tatum played in his career, he had the worst shooting percentage in history for anyone with 150 shot attempts in that sport. And he plays a style that lacks a lot of razzmatazz. While efficient, it lacks the razzmatazz, the way Jayson Tatum plays. And let's also not forget, Steve Kerr benched him in the Olympic run. Jayson Tatum was an afterthought. He was getting hemorrhoids on the bench during that Olympic run. All right, now, last word, to the Bay Area, where the Golden State Warriors took on the Charlotte basketball team, and they put the Hornets on a shish kebab. They beat Charlotte by 36 points on Tuesday while the Lakers were playing the Mavericks. So that seems like a pretty big win, 36 points. And Golden State improved to 6-1 since they picked up Jimmy Buckets. They're winning by 20-plus points in pretty much all of these games lately. And the early returns are pretty good. Now, Jimmy Butler only had 6 points in that game. Didn't have to play much because the game was over. Charlotte should have just forfeited and saved everyone the trouble of going out to the arena in San Francisco. But that's not the story. The story, quickly, the story is Jimmy Butler, who believes the Warriors are better than any other organization he has been a part of. That, according to Shams Charania, the mouthpiece for Jimmy Buckets. Fawning report, lick, shoulder rub, bubble bath from Shams Charania that Butler has been staying late for shoot-arounds and practices and spending extra time to get to know his teammates in the meal room, and he's going above and beyond the call of duty to integrate himself with the Golden State basketball team. So Jimmy Butler, let's get to the money part of this. So Jimmy Butler, according to the story, feels the Warriors are the best organization he's played for. So how does that vibe with you? All right, so imagine if you will, Jimmy Buckets climbing up to the top rope like your favorite professional wrestler and bringing down the atomic elbow on Pat Riley's forehead. Boom! Just like that. This is a personal beef. There was an ugly divorce. Make no mistake, this is personal. And Jimmy Butler, who I like the player. I like Jimmy Butler. However, he is looking to send a torpedo through the myth of the Heat culture. He wants to send that to the shadow realm, the Heat culture. You know that whole nonsense about, and it's not really nonsense. The Heat generally have gotten players off the scrap heap that have been very effective, very good. Pat Riley, handcrafting over the years, whatever Heat culture is, the commitment to winning, blue-collar, hard work, which really was the embodiment of what Jimmy Butler had been in Miami. And now Butler is claiming after just a couple of weeks with the team in San Francisco that by the way, a team he didn't want to play for. Remember, he originally vetoed the trade, and then the Warriors tossed him some more dead presidents. And then he's like, I can get into that. And so now they're head and shoulders above everyone else. And he's played for a lot of teams, Minnesota, Chicago, Philadelphia. He's bounced around. He's been on the Hobo Express, Jimmy Butler, around the NBA.